Welcome to The Explainer. Let's just dive right into this, shall we? Today, we're decoding a deeply powerful message from one of the most celebrated actors of our time, the one and only Denzel Washington. We're going to break down his entire philosophy on taking risks, the absolute, unavoidable necessity of failing, and why playing it safe is actually the biggest risk you can possibly take in your life. So, I want you to think about this. What if having a plan B is actually setting you up to fail? Seriously. Throughout our whole lives, in school, applying at college, picking out a major, people are constantly telling us to make sure we have something to fall back on. It's just traditional wisdom, right? But Washington challenges this entirely. He argues that the very concept of having a safety net to fall back on might actually be the exact thing holding you back from reaching your true potential. All right, Section 1, the fall forward mindset. Think about that traditional idea of falling back, relying on that safety net. Well, Washington offers a pretty radical alternative here, falling forward. His reasoning is that if you're going to fall, and let's be real, you absolutely will, you really shouldn't fall backwards blindly. You want to fall forward. Why? Because at least this way, you're going to see exactly what you're about to hit. It's all about moving in the direction of your goals, even when you're failing, rather than just retreating back into your comfort zone. To really ground this idea, Washington brings up this incredibly powerful quote from Nelson Mandela. He says, "There is no passion to be found playing small and settling for a life that's less than the one you're capable of living." The absolutely crucial point here is the tragedy of unfulfilled potential. Playing it safe, holding yourself back, and just settling, sure, it might protect you from a little embarrassment, but it completely robs you of passion. You literally cannot achieve anything worthwhile in life without taking a risk.
Which brings us to Section 2, the mathematics of failure.
2,600. That's a huge number, right? Well, that is the exact number of times baseball legend Reggie Jackson struck out during his career. It's actually the most strikeouts in the entire history of baseball. But let me ask you, do people sit around talking about his strikeouts? No way. People only remember the home runs. He literally had to fail 2,600 times at the plate just to become a legend. And the exact same concept applies over in science too. 1,000. Most people don't know this, but that is the number of failed experiments Thomas Edison conducted. 1,000. But it was that 1,000 first attempt that finally produced the light bulb. Every single one of those failed experiments wasn't a waste. It was just one necessary step closer to success. So it all brings us to this harsh but absolutely true reality. If you don't fail, you're not even trying. Washington guarantees that at some point in your life, you are going to lose. You're going to embarrass yourself. You're going to suck at something. It's just completely inevitable. But look, to get something you never had, you have to be willing to do something you never did. Let's look at how this played out in Washington's own life. Early on in his acting career, he auditioned for a part in a Broadway musical. He thought it was the perfect role for him, except for one pretty glaring issue. The guy couldn't sing. Obviously, he didn't get the job. But he didn't quit. And he didn't fall back. He walked out, he prepared for the next audition, and he prayed. He just continued to fail and fail and fail. Then, 30 years later, he caught a massive break and starred in the play Fences on Broadway. And the real kicker here? It was at the Court Theater, the exact same theater where he failed that musical audition 3 decades prior. Like they say, if you hang around the barbershop long enough, eventually you're gonna get a haircut. Moving on to Section 3, confronting your unfulfilled potential. Washington uses this deeply haunting metaphor here that honestly just sticks with you. Picture this. Imagine you were lying on your deathbed, and standing around that bed are ghosts. But these are the ghosts representing your unfulfilled potential. They're the ghosts of the big ideas you never acted on, the ghosts of the talents you possessed but just never used, and they aren't peaceful either. They are standing there, angry, disappointed, and upset with you. And here is exactly what those ghosts say to you. "We came to you because you could have brought us to life, and now we have to go to the grave together." Just let that sink in for a second. It's a really stark, heavy realization. The ideas and the talents you have right now, today, they were given to you so you could bring them to life. If you let the fear of failure stop you, well, those gifts just die with you. All right, Section 4, embracing the nonlinear path. Washington's own academic journey at Fordham University was, it was incredibly messy. He actually started out as a pre-med student, but then he took this course called cardiac morphogenesis, and as he puts it, he couldn't read it, he couldn't say it, and he surely couldn't pass it. So he pivoted over to pre-law, and then to journalism. He really had absolutely no academic focus, and his grades completely plummeted. By the time he was 20, he had a 1.8 GPA, and a university politely suggested he take some time off. He was at his absolute lowest point. He had totally failed. But here's the thing. Sometimes failure is exactly what you need to figure out where you're actually supposed to be going. On March 27, 1975, Washington was helping out at his mom's beauty shop in Mount Vernon. There was this older woman there, kind of considered a town elder, getting her hair done. And every single time he looked in the mirror, she was just staring right at him. Finally, she takes the dryer off her head and gives him this spiritual prophecy. She tells this 20-year-old college dropout with a 1.8 GPA, "You are going to travel the world and speak to millions of people." And wow, through his movies, that is exactly what happened. His lowest point was just the pivot he needed all along. And that brings us to our final section, Section 5, Using Your Unique Gifts. Washington is super explicit about this part. He points out that while he had just returned from seeing terrible poverty in South Africa, that's really just the tip of the iceberg. The Middle East needs help, Japan needs help, but it's also local. Right here at home, Alabama, Tennessee, Louisiana, Philadelphia. The world needs a whole lot of help, and it needs it from you, the younger generation. We have to get out there and give it absolutely everything we've got. So what exactly are you giving? Well, it's definitely not just about how much money you make. Maybe your specific gift is a degree in business, or theology, nursing, or sociology. Hey, maybe you do have money, but maybe your unique gift is actually patience. Maybe it's kindness, or love, or even the gift of long suffering. Whatever your specific gift happens to be, absolutely everyone has something vital to contribute to this world. The question isn't how much you have. The real question is, what are you going to do with what you have? So, as we wrap up this explainer today, I really want to leave you with a couple of ultimate provocative questions derived directly from Denzel Washington's message. I want you to ask yourself, how many ghosts are going to be standing around your bed when your time comes? And what are you going to do with what you have right now? Remember, taking a risk is all about being open to people, to new ideas, and to having faith. Never be discouraged. Never, ever hold back. And when you inevitably fall throughout your life, just make sure you fall forward.